The steamroller was making rude remarks about the engines.
Railways are no good, turn them into roads. Pull them up, turn them into roads. Railways are no good, turn them into roads. Pull them up, turn them into roads. Later that morning, George was at the level crossing. "Huh," he said. "You're Sir Handel, I suppose." Sir Handel was standing no nonsense. "And you, I suppose, are George, yes. I've heard of you." "And I've heard of you. You swank around with your steamroller wheels pretending you're as good as me." "Actually," retorted Sir Handel, "I'm better. Goodbye." George chuffered on, fuming. Later that day, Sir Handel brought a special load down after the last train had gone. When he reached the road, he saw George trundling home. Sir Handel tried to attract his attention. "Beep, beep, beep." George took no notice. There was barely room to pass. Sir Handel was cross. "Get out of my way, you great clumsy road hog!" "Huh, I don't move for imitation steamrollers," puffed George. They lumbered along as the insults continued. Then there was trouble. "Ah!" cried Sir Handel. "That was your fault." "No, it wasn't. It was yours." Then he heard a loud whistle. It was George the steamroller. George was cross when he saw Caroline. "Call yourself a car, you're a disgrace to the road. Find yourself a scrapyard." Caroline spluttered in fury, and they rumbled away. George was enjoying rolling along the lane, but worse was to follow. "Help!" cried George. "Something snapped." He veered out of control, and the fat controller... "You're just worn-out wheels on worn-out rails. I need to flatten little engines in the scrapyard," retorted George. When they arrived, George was rude again. "Bumpy ride on rotten rails. I'm glad it's over." "So am I," said Percy. "Huh," huffed George. George was now enjoying himself. "Ripping up rails," he chortled. "What a life!" "What do you think of this, Thomas?" Thomas took no notice. George felt insulted. "You're a useless blue puffed ball," he shouted. But Thomas didn't hear. "I'll show him who's boss." At last the workmen reached the level crossing. "Tear it up, tarmac it," said George. So they did, but not properly, and George knew it too. As he was chuffering about, Duck arrived with a train of empty trucks. George was blocking his way, and a truck was stuck on the main line. "Let me through," demanded Duck. "I'm too busy. You'll just have to wait." "There's no time to wait. I must clear my trucks from the main line to let Gordon through." "Pah," said George. "Then he'll have to wait too." And he did, a few days later. "Look who's here," said Thomas. George had been found out by the fat controller and punished. He looked miserable. "Now we'll get some peace at last," said Percy. "I want to get rolling again, but I've got to wait a whole week till I do." "And then you'll be just as rude as ever. Eh, George?" "I hope not. Don't you?"